Happy Friday. I'll just go ahead and wait for a couple more people to join in. And then I'll be doing some tips on reading for yourself, which was one of the requested topics for live. Good to see you. Give it a couple seconds. Hi, hello, happy Friday. Hello. Hi, happy Friday. Okay, so I'm ready to jump on in. So today's live is going to be tips on reading for yourself. Feel free to chime in if you have questions throughout the process or just curious or need further explanation. So this was one of the requested topics to do on a live. And so one of the things that have really helped me when it comes to learning how to read for myself was to keep a journal, like a prediction journal. What I would do is I would pull a card of the day and I would write that card in the journal. And I would, again, if it was a tarot card, I would put, like, let's say it was Six of Wands, I would write down Six of Wands. And depending upon which deck I would use, because of course different decks are going to have different images, I would describe the image. And then I would let that card play out, see how the day played out. And then at the end of the day or the next day, usually the next day, honestly, more so, I would come back and I would look at, okay, how did that message resonate with what happened to me throughout that day? And then I would do the same thing, like I would start doing, this is how I started doing forecasts. If you guys are curious about how I got so good at doing the forecast for you guys, this is how, the prediction journal. My nose rings falling all over. It was the prediction journal. So like, let's say I was doing either a weekly or a monthly forecast. So I would, for example, pull a card for weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 of whatever month I was in. Honestly, it would be more, sometimes it would often be like more cards than just one, because I would pull from different decks. Or let's say I was doing a monthly forecast, like all the messages I want to know for April, for example. I would pull all those cards. I would write down what the card said in the journal. So if it was like an oracle deck, I would write down the message on the oracle card, because a lot of the oracle decks I have like a one-liner or like a message, like let's say it said inspiration. I would write down inspiration in the journal for that month or that week, whatever I was pulling for, and then I would describe an image in the journal if it had an image. Or if it was a tarot card, same thing, write down what the tarot card was. Let's say it was the Chariot, and then describe an image if it had an image, because each tarot decks are going to have different pictures and images, interpretations. And then I wouldn't dwell on it. The key is definitely do not dwell on it. Kind of write it in the journal, let it be, close it up, come back later after that time has passed and see how it played out for you. What this does is, it's going to help you to come up with your own intuition and interpretation of what these card meanings are, because a good reader is not going to go off Google's definition of a card or what the book is, what the book that comes with it is saying about the card. There are many different meanings for the different cards depending on the situation. So doing it this way allows you to come up with how your experiences have led you to come to a personal connection, a personal relationship with the cards that you have, and seeing how they play out in different scenarios for you. So that's one of my biggest tips when it comes to reading for yourself, is keeping a journal and doing your own predictions, keeping your own prediction journal and seeing how it plays out for you. And again, going back to one of the things I already said was don't dwell on it. Like, let's say you did a forecast for the weeks to come. Like, you don't want to go back every single day and reread it over and over and over, unless it was a daily forecast. Like, if you did a forecast for today, okay, check it tomorrow. But you don't want to keep checking it today, because when you dwell on something, you're actually a lot of the time adding resistance to it. So you can actually alter it by dwelling on it, whether it's a good thing or a good message or a message that you don't necessarily want. If you keep dwelling on it, you're putting resistance to it. So you can either amplify the fear or whatever it is if you have that, or if it's a good thing, you can actually push it off, because it's like watching a clock. How slow it feels for time to pass when you're actually watching the clock Same thing. Or like it's like watching paint dry, you know what I mean? So you don't want to do that. You don't want to dwell on it. You want to come back after the fact, see how it applied to you, and if you can, try to let it go, because it's amazing all the times that when something plays out and you're like, oh, that's what I was predicting, that's what the reading was saying, and then you have that inspiration shot. That's always a good feeling. One of my other tips, and again, if you just joined in, if you have any questions for me, or need any further explanation about anything I'm saying, feel free to let me know. Another tip I would give about reading for yourself is to make sure that you are as neutral emotionally as possible, because if you are trying to read for yourself and you are feeling a lot of anxiety, or you're feeling a lot of fear, or you're worried, or you're scared, or you're mad, or you're sad, whatever it is, you're not going to receive the messages clearly, because either it's like, if it's good news, you're likely to doubt that good news, or because you're not in the best space and you still got that anxiety and stuff, you may question it. Or if it's bad news, it may be like the bad news is just hitting you even harder, even more. Like if you're have anxiety and you're trying to do a reading for yourself to make yourself feel better, and then you still get more bad news, that's just a spiral into the abyss. So my advice is to wait until you calm down a little bit, so either when you're in a good space or when you're at least neutral about it, about the situation, or trying to read for yourself, trying to do that, because also your energy's into it. So if you're in an anxious place, you won't be able to read the message clearly for yourself. So you want to wait till you calm down. If you're in that anxious space or all over the place, you may want to have somebody else read for you that you really, really, truly trust in those times. Wait till you are more level-headed, more clear-headed to try and read for yourself. And again, it also helps to write it down. So let's say you are upset, but maybe you are low on money. Sorry, this thing is like bothering me right now, you guys. Maybe you're low on money or something, or you can't catch the reader that you desire, like your schedules don't line up, whatever it is, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to read for myself. Then what I would suggest is, again, go back to a prediction journal. Go ahead and pull cards for yourself, and then write down what those cards are in the journal. But write down, exactly what the cards are in the order you pulled them. And, again, if there's any messages that you, visualization images that you want to note about it, or maybe numbers, whatever it is. And the thing is, when you're doing this, write down the cards that you pulled. There, this thing, oh my Lord, you guys, this is the wonders of live, right? Oh, there you go. It's gone. It's in the boob. Okay. You're welcome. My nose is all itchy now. Oh, God. So write down exactly the card you pulled. Don't try, because I know I used to do this when I was learning to read for myself. If I pulled a message I didn't like, I'm going to keep pulling cards until I start to see something that makes me feel a little bit better. Don't do that. You're fooling yourself. Take the message as spirit gives it, even if it's not what you want to hear. And then write down exactly the cards pulled, but don't go overboard. Like I said, don't keep pulling messages, because a lot of the time the reason you think you're confused is just because it's not giving you the answer you want to hear. So you're like, but I thought he does have feelings for me. I'm confused on why it's showing me the Three of Swords, showing that this is going to end in pain, even though he keeps telling me he doesn't want a relationship. Don't do that. Don't keep pulling cards until you feel better. Pull the exact message given. Like, let's say maybe you are trying to get an answer to a question. I would say maybe pull, and again, there's no limit, but you don't want to overdo it. Like, maybe pull 2 or 3 cards from one deck and then 2 or 3 cards from another deck, and write it all out, and maybe that's your message. Exactly the cards pulled, Then come back later, see how it played out for you after time has passed. And then if you close it up and put it away, you can come back later and see how it played out for you. Because a lot of the time when you're upset and you're trying to read for yourself, you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And, the messages when you're trying to read for yourself, because you're in a really emotional state, it's not coming through clearly. So that's why writing it down and not over pulling, writing it down and then putting it up and then doing something else, and then coming back later and seeing how it played out for you, that's going to help you read for yourself too. I used to do that. Yes, I used to be guilty of that too when I was first learning to read for myself. I was so guilty, like, oh my God, the Tower card, I don't like that message. What's coming after that? Like, keep pulling and pulling and pulling until something makes me feel better. And that's not an honest way to get the messages you need, because the universe, even when you are, truth be told, even when you are upset and anxious and you pull cards for yourself, the universe will tell you the truth, but you will either not receive the message or you will misinterpret it because you're trying to force immediate gratification of something that's going to make you feel better. And feeling better may not be what you need in the moment, to be honest. You may have to go through that shadow work. You may have to go through that lesson, whatever it may be. So those are some of my tips. Does anybody have any questions for me on the topic or anything else at hand? I'll quickly think to see if I missed anything. Tips on reading for myself. So the journal, yeah, definitely waiting till you feel neutral, at least, if not in a good space. Don't overpull. Don't try to make yourself feel better with the cards by overpulling. Don't dwell on it. Don't keep going back and reading it throughout the day. Let it play out, then come back and check it and see how it played out for you, so that you can come up with your own interpretations, own definitions, own connection to the cards. Because if you want to be a good reader, you don't want to rely on Google or the guidebooks. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody has... Oh, wait, there's one. How often should one read for yourself? That's really up to you. Like I said in the beginning, I think you missed it, though. And I will do a card of the day a lot of the time. Like, pull a card of the day, see how it played out, see what the messages were. In my prediction journal, and I'm going to put this on YouTube, too, so you can watch it from the beginning if you like. In my prediction journal, in there, I have weekly predictions for myself. I have monthly predictions for myself. I have predictions on different topics. Like, I have career predictions, love predictions, general predictions, health predictions, overall wellness, So it's really up to you. But the key is not to dwell on the reading, like I was saying. Like, if you pull a card of the day, for example, you don't want to keep going back to the card all day long, thinking about it all day long. Just let the day play out, and then see how that card came to fruition for you, for example. So the good thing about reading for yourself is, like, it's kind of different from like psychic hopping or psychic binging, because at least in the way of, like, you don't want to hop from person to person to person asking the same question, because you're going to get a whole bunch of different messages if you do it that way. Because again, every psychic is going to have a different own personal experience to some degree that may influence their interpretation or what they share with you. Every psychic receives information differently, or different messages, so you're going to get different things coming through that may actually resonate with you at different times. So the good thing about reading for yourself is you're not going to get that mix up of different messages, if that makes sense. The only thing I would say is, again, to take note of exactly what's pulled. Don't overpull, and then just let it play out. Don't dwell on it. So there's no limit on reading for yourself. I read for myself every day, especially with the cards of the day or cards of the week or whatever it is, like whatever I need to know. Or if I have a specific question, I will pull on it, take note of it in my prediction journal, see how it plays out. But I don't keep pulling and pulling and pulling on the same answer. I'm just on the same question. That's when it gets to be kind of similar to, like, if you were going to a different psychic asking the same question over and over and over. I was gonna say something. Let's see if it'll come back to me. I was talking about, maybe it'll come back. Is it okay if you get good cards, you can stop? Yeah, I mean, like, if the good thing is, like, as you are learning to read for yourself, you will begin to feel when that's enough. Like, okay, I got the message I needed. Like, sometimes I do this too, even with, like, pick a card readings. If I do even the pick a cards I do on my YouTube, I will actually, after I've filmed them and then forgot about them, maybe months later, I will go back and watch it for myself to get a reading for myself. That's a version of reading for myself for me. And I will listen to the message, and then or if I'm listening to somebody else's, like, pick a card reading or something, if I feel like I've got the message from it and it's like a 15-minute long pick a card reading and I only listen to 5 minutes, my spirit will tell me, you got the message you needed. It's okay to close out. You know what I mean? Same thing if you're pulling cards for yourself. Okay, you got the message you need. No need to keep pulling. You can feel it. I'll just leave that card and put it in my mirror. That's a good thing. Yeah, I will pull cards and leave it on my altar too, as well. And there have been times that I have casted spells specifically with cards. Like, I used to have a deck that I used only for spells. So like, let's say I was trying to manifest money, I will pull out a card that represents money, like the energy I want to call in, and I would leave it out on the altar. And then I would not read with that deck. So you can do that too. That was kind of a side message. Oh, man, I cannot remember the point I wanted to make. It was about something about the psychic hopping thing, going from reader to reader, asking the same question over and over and over. It's okay. Maybe it wasn't that important to talk about at this time. Anybody else have any other questions for me before I run? I think that's... Oh, you're welcome. All right, so I'm going to run. I have a couple reading orders I have to fulfill. So I love y'all. I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to put this on YouTube if you missed it, so stay tuned.